By today, we are going to start with role hierarchy. Actually, in the last lecture, we completed with several things related to user management. That means you have understand how to first of all create the users, and so like we show that also. So we learn, how to create the new users inside the Salesforce and what are the things that are mandatory while creating a user. So whenever we create any user inside the Salesforce, there are three things that are required. First of all, we should have a license for him, and then we should have, should assign him a profile. Then we could give him a role. Out of these three, assignment of profile is something which is mandatory. Assignment of role is not mandatory. Even without assigning the role, we can also select. We can also create the user. See, we created all these users. Created like 4 users: customer, development, manager, and testing. These are the 4 users that we created. But if you see none of them, even though what we created and what was there already inside this particular organization, no one has actually been assigned to any role. None of them is having a. All of them, you can see that. So this actually indicates, I can create a user without assigning it. So what is the use of role, and what does it means by the role hierarchy? So that is what we are going to learn by today's lecture. So see, there are so many users inside this. There are so many users inside the Salesforce. Like we have customer development manager and the testing, and we have learned so many things related to all this users management. Like we'll understand first of all how to create the users, and if I wanted to remove the user, first of all, there is no such way. There is no such way by which you can remove the users from the Salesforce. Neither with the configuration and not with the customization also. And you don't have anything in the Salesforce that you can remove the users by programming, and you can have can remove the users from the admin model. There's nothing like that. So they ask you this in the interview also. And if I create a user and if I wanted to remove that user, does it have any way to delete the user, any way to remove the user from, or the answer is no, a plain no. There is no such way. Once the user is created, we cannot simply remove the user. We cannot delete the user. Now to avoid that user, that he shouldn't be logging into the, or what we can do is that we can either deactivate him, or that either we can, freeze that user. So there are 2 techniques by which we can stop a user that he should log in into the org. First of all, either we can freeze them, either deactivate. Now, the difference between if I freeze a user, or if I freeze a user, or if I deactivate the user, the difference is that, if you deactivate, the kind of license that was given to him will going to return back to you. So we can now assign this license to somebody else. This is the difference. And if I freeze them, it's just going to be, stopped from the login, nothing else. The license remains with him. License remains with that user, and the license doesn't come back. So they ask you this. What could be the scenario where we actually deactivate a user, freeze a user? So what you can tell in that case is that, if a person is actually resigning from the organization, and rather if we are removing anybody from this particular project, in that case, we can deactivate this. But if a person is going for a leave, and we don't want that, during the period of leave, he should be logging into the org, so we can freeze that. Then you understand what is resetting the password of single user, and what is means by, just a second, it's resetting the password and expiring the password. This is again one of the difference they ask. What is the difference between resetting the password and expiring the password? So resetting actually is being done, whenever the user forget the password. So if you reset the password for any user, if you just select this and go to this reset password button, okay. So this particular user will get one of the email for reactivating the password, and there is a chance that this person will actually get one of the email on the registered email, whatever the email is being registered. So on the registered email ID, this person is going to receive one of the email that now with the same email he can reset the password, and he can replace the old password with something. But if you expire the password, so the admin is the only having this control that he can expire the password. And if the admin expires the password, then the entire user's password is going to be, it's going to be expired, and none of them will going to get any such kind of email to reset the password. Now, as an admin, you need to additionally set the password for everyone so that they can log in from the next time. So this is again one of the questions they asked in the interview. What is the difference between resetting a password and expiring a password for the user? Then we understand how a person can grant, how a user can grant login access to admin or the Salesforce people. Only you can grant login your account login to people, either to your system admin, either to your company administrator, or to the Salesforce support people. So this also we have understand what does it means by granting the account login access. And one more thing, what we understand is that what does it means by the login access policy. So with this feature, the admin can take can take this control that he can log in into anybody's account to whom he has created. So whenever we go for this, whenever we go for this, either we grant the login access, either we grant the login access where it is, and or with the login access policies, what the administrator can do the changes. This login link actually appears in front of the name of every user. This is something what we have also learned. Then we learn about different kinds of things, like what does it means by audit trails, what does it means by the login histories. With the audit trails, we just know that when a user has been logged in and what kind of activity he has performed. So this is what we have learned with the audit trails. Login history means apart from this, some other informations like what was the IP address, what was the latitude, longitude, what was the country where he was logged in, the state and the city and the postal code, everything. Login histories contain a huge data, and audit trails just contain few things like was the user when he was logged in, when he was logged out, and what was the action that he has performed. So only 3 to 4 informations is being there with the audit trails. Then we also understand, we understand what does it means by remote site settings. So whenever we authenticate any third-party website that we wanted to perform some sort of integration with any other apart from the Salesforce, if there is a website, if there is a system with which we wanted that we should interchange some of the parameters between Salesforce to that. So we actually this particular website into the remote site settings so that we would be able to perform the integration with that particular website. These were the things that we have discussed till now. Now, I'm going to start with a new topic called as role hierarchies, and what is it means by the role hierarchies and what's the importance. Although we understand that giving the role at the time of creation is not at all important. While we are creating the user, we could even create it without assigning a role. But then you must understand what is the use of roles and why to assign the roles. What is the hierarchy, and what we get actually with the role. So see, every organization by default, you know that there are certain designations in every organization. Every organization do have certain designations, but I could assume that at the top there could be CEO of the company, and then there could be chief financial officers, chief, CTOs are there, vice presidents are there, and then below to that there could be like program managers and the project managers and the leads, and senior software engineer, associate, like this. So in general, and every organization do have a certain kind of hierarchy that these are actually the designations. These are the designations. Just a second. Yes. So, these are the designations inside the organization. So, how to set up these designation, how to give this particular designation, how to give this position to a particular user, that is something called as role. So, the basic concept of the role hierarchy is that, it is actually make to implement the record discipline. What does it mean by the record discipline? See, you can now understand this. So probably, if this technical lead, if the technical lead has created any such records, or probably he's having some kind of records with him. So ideally, what should happen inside a company is that, whatever the record that this person is having, that should be visible to the people, those who are higher, those who are higher in the role, or probably those who are upper in the hierarchy. And whatever the record this person is holding, it shouldn't be visible to those people, those who are below to the hierarchy, those who are lower in the hierarchy to this person. Why? And due to certain kind of privacy issues. If this particular technical lead is actually being creating some of the records, so that record should ideally be visible to the managers. Who is about to this project manager should have the visibility of that record. Program manager should also be have visibility, and some more persons above the hierarchy should have a visibility. But the person that are low, the person that are lower in the hierarchy to this, like software engineer, senior, and associate, they shouldn't be have the access to that particular record what is being created by this user. Now this implies to every level. This implies to every level actually. So if if I could say that if probably a senior software engineer has created something, that should be visible to all these records. That should be visible to all of them. Why? Because these are the uppers in the hierarchy. These are the people those who are actually his managers. His immediate manager could be technical lead, but he have a project manager. Yeah, this is also manager. These are the managers of this particular senior software engineer. So whatever the record that is being created by this particular user, whatever the record that is being created by this user, should be visible to all of them who are above the hierarchy, but shouldn't be visible to the people those who are lower in. Like the software engineer should not access the record being created by this. The associate software engineer should also not create, so have the access on that record which is being created by senior software engineer. So this is something which we are going to understand with the concept of. This is something what we are going to understand with the concept of role. So role hierarchy clearly is used to provide the record visibility. Role hierarchy, but whenever we set up the role, whenever we set up the role, that means we create certain new positions, certain new designations, and we assign this designation to a particular users. Okay, this means we set up a role, we set up a hierarchy inside the organization. We set up a hierarchy inside the organization. Why we set up all this? To make the concept of record visibility. To make the concept of record, to achieve this concept of record visibility, we set up the role. And what is the ideology behind this particular role hierarchy concept is that, okay, if a user at a certain designation creates a record, then that record should be visible to those people who are above in the hierarchy. And the people above in the hierarchy, apart from this, because he's the owner, he could definitely have the access on the record. He has created, he's the owner. He's the by default manager of that. But then above the people, those who are above there, and users, those are sitting above that particular position should have the access. And the people, those who are sitting lower to the position, they shouldn't have the access. This is something called as record visibility, concept of record visibility. And this is the ideology. And this is the phenomenon of this. This is the phenomenon of record visibility. So the record visibility is set up with the help of role. If I wanted to have certain kind of record visibility in my organization, I should first of all, create a role. I should create so many positions and then assign the positions to the certain users. That is how we are going to achieve what record visibility. So the entire concept of record visibility is based, the entire concept of role hierarchy is based to create the record visibility inside among the different users. That is what the phenomenon, that is what the ideology of this particular concept was. Okay, so this is what you can go up with that very very well. Now see, we here have let's see the name of our organization. If I go to company profile and click on the company information, so here my organization name is ABC Entitled. Okay, the organization name is ABC Entitled. So ABC Entitlement, how does the hierarchy for this company approach should look like? How does the hierarchy of this organization should be? First of all, at the top we have CEO. At the top we have CEO position. So and then below to CFO, CEO, there could be CFO and COO, Chief Operating Officer, and then CTO, and then CFO, Chief Financial Officers, like Chief Technical Officer, like this, And I actually, this one is my example. I'm going to create all this position inside the inside the organization, I'm going to set up all these roles. I'm going to assign this to a user, this to a user, this and this and this to a user. Because we have, we have 4 users. We have manager, testing, development, customer, and then we have a default system users. The default system admin. Default system admin is what? Training my Salesforce 1.0. Is a default system admin. So this particular position CEO, this particular position CEO, I'm going to assign this position to this particular user. Okay. CEO is who? CEO is the default system administrator. So training my Salesforce 1.0. This is the user. Batch 105. Actually, this user, not this. Rather, I should say that this user. Batch 105. Batch 105. This user. Training my Salesforce 1.0. Batch 105. Training my Salesforce. This is the user. The name is this. This is the actually user email side. So I mean, first of all, what I'm going to create is that, I'm going to create all these positions inside the organization. That means I'm going to set up a role for my organization. Right now, we don't have any. We haven't created any such positions inside the organization. We haven't any positions, and we have not assigned any role to any. See, the role column is blank for every user. The column is blank. We haven't given any role to anybody. That means we haven't set up any role hierarchy for our organization. So at first, what we are going to do is that we will be creating all these roles inside the organization. For this organization, we are creating all these roles. That means at the top of the hierarchy, there is a user called as CE, Chief Executive Officer. Below to this, CFO, COO, and CTO. These are subordinates. These are siblings. Sorry, not subordinates. These are siblings. That means all of them is having a same equality and they are enjoying the same right. If I ask you who is above CTO, who's the manager of CTO? CEO is the manager. Who is the manager of COO? Again, CEO is the manager. Who's the manager of CFO? CEO is the manager. So CEO is the manager of all of them. But what CFO, CO, and CTO, they are actually siblings. They are what? They are siblings. Because they are having the equal priority, They are having the equality in some. They are having the equality in their designations. But vice president is what? Vice president is below to CTO. So vice president is actually what? He's a subordinate of CTO. He's a subordinate. He's lower in the hierarchy. Now, if I ask you who's the immediate manager of vice president, the immediate manager is CTO. Who's the immediate manager? CTO. Who's the default manager? The default manager is CE. So here you need to understand only 2 things. What does it mean by the siblings? And what does it mean by the subordinate? So subordinate is a position that is created inside what? Inside any position. Like if I consider CEO, CFO, CO, and CTO are the subordinates. Subordinates to whom? CE. But among this CFO, CO, and CTO, these are what? These are the siblings. Vice president is what? Vice president is the subordinate of CTO. Vice president is what? It's a subordinate of the CTO. Just a second. Fine. So like this. So first of all, understand this concept that what does it mean by the subordinate? What does it mean by the immediate manager and the default manager? So vice president is a subordinate of CTO. CTO, CO, and CFO, these are the siblings. And who's the immediate manager of vice president? CTO is the immediate manager. Who's the default manager of everyone? CEO is the default manager of everyone. Okay. So I am now going to create a role hierarchy in this particular form because I only have 4 users. See, if I go with this, I require probably these many. If I have these many positions, I obviously require these many users. Presently, we don't have that much of the users. We only have this user. With this user is a default system admin. We created this organization. Now within this organization, I have created in the last lecture we have created 4 users. So 4 plus 1 is 5. We have only 5 users. So at least what is the different designations that we can create? We can go up with the 5 different roles. We can go up with the 5 different designations. So I am first of all going to create this hierarchy. Okay, I'm first of all going to create this hierarchy. So if you wanted, if you wanted to create a role, yeah, or rather the hierarchies or rather the designations inside the organization. What is the navigation? This is the navigation. You first need to go to setup menu, and inside the setup go to administer and the manage user. Inside the manage user you have this link for the, and from this you can create a new inside the organization. Okay, so first of all let's assign, first create all these positions and assign this position to this particular users. Okay, let's understand how to do that. So here I have setup and the administrator, the manage user. See, there's an option for the roles. So there's an option for the roles. So let me click on this so that I will go to this user interface where I can see that the roles can be created on a territory based. Roles can be created based on the products. Roles can be created based on the company size. Like, so there are different ways you can create a role. For now, I'm creating it based on the territories. Okay, and then set up the role with this button. See, there's a button to set up the role for your organizations. And set up the. So with this link, you will be landed on this page, and here you need to go to the setup the roles. So for the organization ABC and title, for this organization actually I'm creating the different roles. So Salesforce even have suggested me certain different roles over here. So let me see how does this role actually this is the default role hierarchy what is being given to us. We can even make the use of that also. We just don't require to create CEO because this position has already been created. Below to CEO, the CFO is there, COO is there, and few more position I would like to require, but that is not here. So I'm going to create that. I'm going to create that. I require CFO and CO and CTO. So I presently having CEO. I have a CEO, CFO, CO, but I don't have CTO. Okay. So I would require to create this. So first of all, let's set up the role. First of all, let's create a designation, and then we are going to create. We are going to assign them to the particular users. So I don't have any position called as CTO, and even don't have any position called as CTO. So let's create a position called as CTO. See, CTO is what? CTO is a subordinate of CEO. So below to CEO, I require one. So below to CEO, if you require anything, you need to go for this. Below to CFO, you want something, go for this. Below CEO, you want something, go for this. Below a vice president, you want like this, So this particular position, CTO, I don't want to create it below CEO. It is not subordinate of CEO. Actually, CTO is the sibling of CEO. That means he and this all people is having same equality, and they all are subordinate of the CEO. So below CEO, I wanted to create a position called as CEO. So that is why I'm going to below CEO, and there's a link called as add row. So I'm clicking on this add row. So what is the label? The label is CTO. Okay, I wanted to create this position. This will reports to whom? And a CEO. Who's going to be a default manager? CEO is going to be a default. And what you want to display? I want to display this on the CTO. So let me say this. Okay. So one new position has been, one new role has been assigned. See, CEO, below CEO, there was CFO, there was also CEO. Now I created CTO. One more position has been. Now below CTO, I want to create one more position. That is what vice president, and that will be below CTO. So it's a subordinate to CTO. So I first of all needs to go to CTO, and inside the CTO, there's a link called as add. Here actually I would like to. To CTO, I would like to role of what? Role of vice president. Vice president. Here I want to also vice president. Save it. So we created one more position, and this position reports to this is the immediate manager. This is the immediate managers. So refresh this. So let's expand the CTO, and you have below CTO you have a position called as vice president. If you want some more position below VP, then you can add. So now see, now what I have done is that I have created all these positions. I have CEO position inside, and below to CEO, I have three positions. I have CFO, COO, and CTO. Okay, and below to CTO, I have vice president. So I created, according to I created the role, and these are some useless. I mean, either we can delete them, either we can just skip them. Either we can just delete, either we can skip them. We don't have any use of all this, so we can skip them. So we can delete them, but I suggest not to delete because these are the standard. Okay, So don't ever try to delete any kind of standard functionality. Just skip them. We don't have this something assumes like that. We don't have this. So we created all these positions. We have all these positions now. We have CFO, CEO, CTO, and vice president. Now is the time to assign these positions to the different users. Okay. So now is the time to assign. See, there's a button called as assign, and in the front of every role there's a link called as assign. You can use this. You can use this. So let me click on this assign. So I wanted to assign this role CEO to the default system administrator. This particular. Okay. So I wanted to assign this whom. So I can assign them. I can assign this to a user. I can assign this to another position, another role hierarchy, and then we have all this. Either we can go up with all users, and then can go up with the several options. So we have all these options over. So this particular position CEO, see whatever the position you are assigning, for that is being highlighted. इतने सारे roles में से ये highlighted नजर आ रहा है. This means we are actually assigning somebody this position. ये थोड़ा सा यहीं से समझ में आता है कि आप किसके लिए काम. So I'm going to assign this CEO role to this particular user because he's the default system administrator. So just click on the user and make it a bad and save. That's it. That's it. Okay. If you wanted to see, just go to here, and here फिलहाल अभी role नहीं आ रहा, so let me just refresh this. Now I can see that this batch 015 whatever the user is being is assigned to a role called as CEO. Is assigned to a role called as CEO. Now let's assign CFO. The second to what is CFO? So who is the CFO? CFO is the manager. So manager. So let's assign this to the manager. So click on the assign, and from all these users, just select the manager. Manager user and save it. यहाँ पर refresh करके देखो. See, the manager user has been assigned to CEO. Okay. Now next to CEO, there is a position called as COO, Chief Operating Officer. So we wanted it to be assigned for the testing. So let's go to the role hierarchy and the COO to this position assigned. We wanted to assign this to testing user. Okay. So user testing and selecting, and then save. Done. Okay. Next to CEO, there is a CTO position. I wanted to assign this to a development user. Okay. So CTO is whom? Assign to assign. Select the development user from here, add him, and save. Okay. Then we have a vice president position. Below to CTO, there is a vice president position. And we wanted to assign this to the customer because we only have this many. So user customer added, save. So for every position we now have user for this. See, this is the CEO, and this is the development user CTO, manager is CEO, testing is CO, and customer is what vice president. So this is how we assign the roles to every user. And assigning a role is not at all important. At the time of creation, it is not important. You can create the user without even assigning the role. At the time of creation also you can assign them. That is what you can do. Even after creating the user, you could also assign them. And this is how we assign them. Now, what is the basic ideology behind the role is that record visibility. Now, let's see what we have created. We created this role hierarchy, and what I want is, for example, if this user, CTO, that means a development user, creates any record, that record should be visible to his manager. That means just this record, if the manager user, this user creates a record, this record should be visible to his manager. Who is the manager? CEO is the manager. And but the record what this user has created shouldn't be visible to CFO. That means it shouldn't be visible to the subordinates, not even the your subordinates and the siblings. Sorry. So if this development user, let's take this example. The development user is about to create one of the record. Ideally, what should happen with the role hierarchy? We set up the role, and we set up the hierarchy, and we set up. We have assigned every position, every role to a particular user. Why we have done all this? To achieve the record visibility. This was our main agenda. So to achieve the record visibility, we have set up the role inside our. Now I'm testing this with a live example that if this particular user, for example, development, has created a record. So ideally, what should happen is that the record which is being created by the development user, he should have the access. Why? Because he's the default owner of that record. He created, so he's the owner. So obviously he should have the access. Apart from his manager, that means CEO should have the access. But the siblings means CFO and CEO, they doesn't have the access. And moreover, the vice president also, who is actually subordinate to the CTO, he also shouldn't have the access on that. That is what we wanted to achieve. So let's test this. Let's test this whether we are able to achieve the record visibility with the role hierarchy or not. Okay. So let me first of all log in into the development. So probably I have create an use case. Actually, I have create an account by logging into the development user and manager user को CEO assign. ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Manager user को CEO just a second. CEO is this. Manager is C. Okay, okay. So manager क्या देना है? CF. हो गया changes. ठीक है. So now the CEO is this, vice president, customer user. Let me just verify this. Who is the CFO? CFO is the manager. Manager is the CFO. CO is the testing user. Testing user is CO. CTO is development. Development user is CTO. Customer is vice president. Done. ठीक है, वो गलती से किया. Now see. So अभी जो हमने रिकॉर्ड्स क्रिएट अभी हमने रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट करना है एंड वी वांटेड टू टेस्ट दिस फैक्ट that if a user creates a record, that record should be ideally visible to him and to his manager, but that record shouldn't be visible to his siblings. CFO and CEO shouldn't have the access, and moreover what we want, the subordinate should also doesn't have the access. So ये हमको test करना है. So I'm doing this use case that I'm creating a record by logging into the development users account, and we are going to verify whether the record is visible to him and to the manager and it shouldn't be visible ideally it should not be visible to the other users. That is what. Okay. So let's test this. So first of all, I need to log into the development users account. So I want to log into development users, so I don't require his credential. I have already created the login access policies. With the login access policies, as a system administrator, I can log in into anybody's account. So let's log in into the development users account. So I just click on this in the users development. I now entered into the development users profile, and let's go to any object. I could go to any object. Let's go to the account, and here let's create a new record. So I'm creating a record that the name called as development user record like this. Okay. The name called as development user record number 1. And the few more details. The industry is this, and then prospect and the annual rating is hot. Phone number is like 4455. Fax is 6677. Ownership is public. Customer priority is high. Active status is yes. And with all these details, I save this. So now see inside the user development, we created one of the account with the name called as development user record number. Who's the default owner? See, user development is the owner. User development is the owner of this. And that is why he have everything. He could edit the record, he could see the record, could edit, even he could delete it. Right? And he could even share it. Because he's the owner. He's the owner of this particular. He's having this access. Now this was development user. Okay, so this development user create the records. What I wanted to test, I want to test this ideology that if this user, example, has created a record, this record should be visible to him. And moreover, this record should be visible to the CEO because he's the manager. I wanted to check this, and I also wanted to check that ideally this record shouldn't be visible to this and this, because they are the subordinates, siblings, and not even to this user because he is the subordinate. This is the ideology behind the entire roll-up full hierarchy, and this is what I'm testing right. So I'm clear with this fact that the development user create a record and it's visible. Okay, this is done. Now let me log out from here. And I'll come back to this training batch users. I'll come back to the users system admin, the CEO's account. Now let me go to the account object and let's see the record which is being created by that user development. See whether the record is being visible over there. Development user record. See. So this particular user training my Salesforce, he's the manager training my Salesforce batch 105, this user. So he's actually the manager. He's having the access of the record which is created by this user. So this user, this record, development user record number 1. Who's the owner? Development user is the owner. But this user can access this record. This user have the access, So the record what the development user has created. But this user, because he's the manager of development user, so he's having the access. Okay. चलो ये तो हमको समझ में आ गया. That right now 2 people is having the access of the record. One is the development user because he's the owner, and his manager CEO. His manager is CEO. This particular training batch user. Training batch user is the manager of this particular development user, so he's also having the access. Right. Now let me see whether other users, whether the other users like CFO and CEO and the vice president, they is also having the access on it. Ideally, they shouldn't have. Ideally, they shouldn't have the access. So let me go to any user. Let me set up menu, manage users and users. Let me now try to log in with any of the siblings, like example CFO. So who is the CFO? CFO is the manager. So let me log into the manager users account. Let me go to the account object. Okay, let me go to the account object. Select all accounts from here. And then I can see the name. See, ideally this should not have. Ideally this should not. But this manager user is actually a sibling. He's a sibling of development user. So he shouldn't have the access on the record, which is the owner who is owned by the another user. The development user is having created this account. So this account record, user record number 1, they shouldn't have the access to it. लेकिन उसको दिख रहा है. This I can see that this record is visible to him. He is also having the access. He's also having the access. This should not have, but ये हो रहा है. So यहाँ से log out. Probably हम ये assume करके चले कि okay he is a sibling. दूसरा sibling कौन है अपना? Who is the second sibling for CTO? The second sibling is COO, testing user. तो testing user में चलते हैं इसमें login करके whether he is also having the access to go to the account object. Click on all accounts, and here you can see the record is visible to him also. This record of development user, who is the owner development user. So this record is also visible. But ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Ideally this should not be happened. Log out from. Ideally ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. ये क्यों हो रहा है? चलो बताता हूँ. चलो अब ये तो siblings हो गए. और सबऑर्डिनेट पे चलता है. डेवलपमेंट यूजर का सबऑर्डिनेट है कौन है? वाइस प्रेसिडेंट कस्टमर यूजर. तो कस्टमर यूजर पे लॉगिन करके देखते हैं. कस्टमर यूजर लॉगिन. Go to the accounts object. All accounts. Here also you have this account. So this clearly indicates me that the record which is created by a user presently, every one of them, every one of them is having access. Ideally, this should not happen. Ideally, this should not happen. What is the ideology behind the role hierarchy? If a user creates a record, this record should be visible to him and to his immediate manager, and none other than these two people can have the access. But right now, I could see that this user creates a record, it is visible to him. The record is visible to the manager. The record is even visible to the siblings. The record is even more visible to the subordinates. That is what is happening right now, and we don't want this. So how I can make a record to be get protected? How can I make a record to be accessed by this fact that the owner should have access and the manager should have the access? How can I make this? And for this, we are going to learn a separate topic for this, and that is what the OW. So we are about to start a new topic. The topic is called as OWD. Actually, OWD have so many options, and there are so many things that you are going to achieve with the OW. So see, to make this, actually we create the role. We create a role. Why? To have the concept of record visibility, to implement the concept of record visibility. But understand this, okay, the record visibility is actually not being set up by the role. Role can set up only one thing. Role can set up only one thing. Role allows you to create certain different positions inside the organization. First thing. Roles allow role hierarchy. What does the role hierarchy do inside the Salesforce is that with the concept of role hierarchy, what you can do is that you can create certain different designations inside your organization. First thing. Second, you can assign each position. You can assign each position to a certain user. That is what you can do. Ideally, all this is done to have a record visibility, but let me tell you, the record visibility is not achieved by role hierarchy. To achieve the record visibility, there is a separate concept. There is a separate concept to implement the record visibility. How to do that? How we are going to get that? We are going to learn it by tomorrow. Because actually, my office time is scheduled. So by tomorrow morning, we are going to start with the OWD option. ये मैं आपको difficulty दिखाना चाहता हूँ. What is the concept of role? First of all, so role क्या है? Role is a kind of group. Role is a kind of template. It's a design. Role is a concept which helps you to create certain different new positions, certain different designations inside the organization. The first thing, and the second thing, the positions what you created, you can assign each position to each user or more than one user. There could be more than one CFO, more than one CEO, more than one CTO. You could assign the positions to different users. That is what you achieve with the concept of role hierarchy. Role hierarchy is although created to have the record visibility, but unfortunately we don't get record visibility with the role hierarchy. To get this concept of record visibility to be get implemented, we have a separate thing inside the Salesforce that is something called as OWD options, organization wide defaults. So by tomorrow I'm going to start with this concept, OWD options. Okay? Tomorrow class will be again in the morning 8 o'clock. So other than if some unfortunate happens, then only I'm going to postpone the class. Otherwise, you have the class till the time we complete this. There are only few things is left with this. Probably 3 to 4 lectures. Right? So in the middle of this week or by the end of this week, we are going to about the admin training. So sharing is the only important concept. What is left with us? Rest of the things are quite easy. Actually. So probably by the end of this week, we are going to end this training. So till the time, till the time the admin training is going on, you need to log in morning 8 o'clock will be your time. Morning 8 o'clock, right? So by tomorrow morning, I'm going to start with the OWD. So don't miss the lecture. This is very important. Yes.